up, nerds? Today is day 17 of my year-long challenge of posting an RC-related video every single day. Okay, so what's on the agenda for today? I would like to possibly have a discussion here. I have a question. Has Traxxas ruined the RC industry? Have they destroyed RC cars what it once was? Or have they made them better? Now, the reason I ask this is because recently I've had a couple trades fall through when someone found out that they needed to do something that is a skill that I consider every RC guy should have. Just yesterday, I had a trade lined up for this Max, and it was actually a really good trade for this other guy. I'm going to say I was getting the short end of the stick, okay? It was this 4S Max that is completely good, except it needs wheel bearings. So is that the bad one? No, I don't even know if that's the bad one. I think this one's a bad one here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So it's got a bad wheel bearing, right? Actually, both sides. I'm going to say both sides need to be done. Maybe I can't even tell which one's worse right now. They're both really bad. That's pretty darn bad. Look, it goes to toe out, toe in, toe out, toe in. Yeah, it looks like it just needs wheel bearings on both sides. Anyways, that's a $10 part. I just bought a set. I'm going to fix it myself. I decided I'm going to keep it right now. But wheel bearings, a $10 part. Okay. Not a big deal, right? This guy had a nitro slash, and he was interested in this Max. And originally, actually, I was going to trade him my broken X Max, this guy, but we couldn't agree on how much cash to throw at it. And then that's when I came across these, and that guy found me and offered a trade. So actually, I had the broken X Max on Facebook Marketplace for trade, and the guy contacted me that had a nitro slash, and he said plus cash, and I said okay, let's do it. And we couldn't agree on how much cash. Well, I ended up trading that X Max for these. I told that guy, sorry, the X Max is no longer available, but I do have a V1 Max. So this is a V1 Max with a Wide Max kit on it, which I tell you what, the Wide Max kit is freaking great. That made a huge difference. It actually made it a drivable truck after that. It was not a very good truck before. So it's a V1 with the Wide Max kit. And I told the guy, hey man, I really want that nitro slash. I will offer this Max straight up, no cash involved. And which is, brand new. This is a $570 truck or whatever, $560, whatever the price is, now $560. I think when I bought it, it was probably $529 or $500 or somewhere in that range. And his nitro slash was a $350 truck, right? So this guy's getting the way better deal. And I had the trade lined up. It was all ready to go. And I told him, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. I didn't think it was a big deal. But so I told the guy, oh yeah, just so you know, you need to put, if you use Traxxas batteries, you need to put a Traxxas plug on it. Because I put XT90 plugs on it. See how it is black, but I put shrink tube on it. Because with my freaking MS, I can't get these little clips on there, man. And then I don't like to use tools because it ruins them. When I mentioned it to him, this guy basically freaks out and backs out. And I'm like, wow. So we've got all these people into RC cars nowadays that don't know how to do the simplest of stuff, like solder on a new plug. That's something that should be a given, I think, with this hobby. You should know how. And if you don't know how, you should have the want to learn. So if you don't know how to do it, you should want to learn how to do it. In my opinion, half of the RC hobby is working on your car. Because basically you have to work on them 50% of the time, because these damn things break all the time. Even if you're, even if you're not bashing and beating the crap out of it constantly, things are still breaking. Like with my track cars, bearings are going out, or with my minis, the motors are going out. You got to resolder on a motor. You got to do all this repair work. So, I was thinking about it back in the day. If you wanted to get into this hobby, the only thing available was kits. You had to build the car yourself. So if you did not know how to do anything, solder or use tools or whatever, and you wanted an RC car, you had to learn how to do that your stuff yourself. And then Traxxas hit the scene, and they had the ready to run, and they became huge. And almost all their stuff nowadays is ready to run. And so the type of person buying RC cars seems to be a little bit different than the type of person that did back in the 80s and the 90s. I've been into this hobby since, well, I'm going to say the 80s, okay? I did not get my first. So originally I started with Tyco cars and Sears cars, like the Lobo 2 and stuff. I remember them. I don't remember exactly what they were, but there was some Sears cars that were like the Tyco cars, but they must have been cheaper because my dad bought them for me. And I remember I was obsessed. I would go to the hobby store. Actually, it was a toy store, but they sold kits, and I was obsessed with the Tamiya Clodbuster, especially. And there were just tons of those kits. But pretty much, if you wanted to get into a hobby grade RC car, you had to build it yourself. So you either learned or you already knew how to do that stuff. So nowadays, I think with Traxxas, not only they're ready to run, but also the fact that Traxxas, with their marketing, they just love the whole speed thing. I see on forums nowadays, people trying to put 6S into their two-wheel drive Slash, which makes absolutely zero sense to me at all. Of course, to each their own. And, if you get something different out of the hobby, I respect that, I guess. That's fine with me. It doesn't affect me really, except for the fact that these companies are in some stupid speed war. And it's kind of silly, if you ask me. So my very first hobby grade car was an RC10 Championship Edition, which I still have to this day. Here it is. I believe this was circa 1993, something like that. But this only came as a kit. There was no ready to runs. My dad built it for me because I was young, although he should have taught me. Honestly, I think about it, he should have taught me. But I became mechanically inclined myself, so it's okay. My point is, somebody had to, have knowledge to build these things back in the day, okay? And then Traxxas came along, and now everybody and their brother can go out and buy one and run it. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think it's good, to get people that wouldn't otherwise get into the hobby, and I think it's fine. And I really have no problems with that. But there is something that I think Traxxas does that is not good for the hobby. Look at that, made in the USA. I bet you people nowadays that are new to the hobby don't realize that these things used to be made in the good old USA. So the one thing about Traxxas that I think is probably not good is their obsession with speed and marketing, and just I believe that most of their stuff is way too overpowered for the durability. And people would enjoy this hobby a lot better if they just, focused on driving the car and handling and, basically, I think Traxxas is obsessed with the speed thing as a marketing tactic when really that's not the most fun part of the hobby. And what they do is they overpower the cars to where the cars cannot handle the amount of power that is in them. Okay, this is a Rustler VXL that I converted to a brushed system. I put in a Hobby Wing speed control and a Titan 12 turn. And I did that so it could be raised here by my girlfriend. So even though I've been into this hobby for a long time, I've taken a couple hiatuses where I didn't touch RC cars for quite a while. So one of my hiatuses, I had a Traxxas T-Max back when those were insanely popular. You could get almost everything on eBay for them. I mean, anything you could think of. You could do, I mean, they had roll cages, there was bumpers, there was every single thing, silly thing you could think of, you could get for a T-Max. So, I had that, I was into it. And then shortly after that, I blew the engine on my T-Max. And then I took quite a long hiatus. I would say at least 15 years, okay? So I missed brushless motors and all the lipos and all that stuff. I had no idea what that stuff is, right? So I get back to it. I get back to the hobby, and I'm not used to that stuff. I was a truck driver over the road, and I was looking for something to do while I was laid over at truck stops, right? And so I decided, why not get an RC car again? I'll get back into that stuff. This was probably 4 years ago, okay? So one of the very first cars I ever bought was this Rustler VXL right here. I took an Uber to a hobby town somewhere in the Midwest or South, maybe Arkansas. I can't remember exactly. Arkansas, Alabama, something like that. But I was at a truck stop. I took an Uber over to a hobby town and bought this car because it was basically one of the only things they had in stock that was interesting. And this is a Rustler VXL. They sold me two 3S batteries with the Traxxas battery charger. And mind you, I might as well have been a newbie because this is the first car I've had since brush motors and nitros. So I pretty much was a newbie. I didn't know what 3S meant. I didn't know anything. And I didn't know what the brushless meant. So they sold me this car. And I proceeded to blow it up and break it less than one battery in. In fact, it was probably a quarter to a third of my very first battery. I blew this thing up. So then here I am with an expensive piece of equipment. I mean, with the battery and chargers and all that, I mean, we're probably looking at, I think it was like $400 or $500. This was $270 to, I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't cheap. So I'm sitting here. Now I no longer have my hobby, and it was frustrating. And I ran it on 3S because that's what the hobby shop sold me. They said I could run it on 3S. And so then after that, I'm on the road. I cannot get parts for this thing. So I have to wait. After that few minutes of fun, I have to wait for a couple weeks till I get home and I can buy some parts. So then I buy some parts. I take it back on the road. I break it again, less than half the battery through. And now at this point, I'm really frustrated because, I bought a couple spares of stuff that I think would be a problem, but then I broke something else. So now I have this expensive car sitting in my truck, taking up space that I can't use. So then I have to wait another month to go get more parts. I would say when I kept running this, every time I ran this on 3S, look, it was fun. It was pretty insane. But every time I ran this thing on 3S, it was way too fast and I would break something. I stuck with the hobby, luckily, but can you imagine somebody that doesn't remember how things used to be and they buy one of these cars, and then they're just completely frustrated because they constantly are breaking it. And then they don't, you know, and then if you're one of the newer guys nowadays, you don't even know how to fix it because you bought it as a ready to run and you have no idea what makes the thing tick. You didn't put it together. You don't know how to fix it. So now you have a broken, expensive piece of equipment that is useless. That's my one gripe with Traxxas is their obsession with making things overpowered, obsession with top speed. I think that's detrimental to the hobby, to be honest with you. I think it is. Now, if I hadn't have known what kind of fun you can have, I would have given up this hobby if I was a new person. And I think that right there is bad and it's not good. And you know, I do believe Traxxas has done some really great things. That's why I'm so torn on this subject. I think they have done a lot of great stuff. Like for instance, this X Max, that is most definitely the best. In my opinion, it's the best basher ever made right there. It really is good. It is that good. It handles pretty good for a big monster truck. They're quick. They're nimble. They jump awesomely. They're really tough. I mean, that really is a good truck. And then there's the two-wheel drive Slash. In my opinion, the two-wheel drive Slash, everybody that's into RCs should have a two-wheel drive Slash. It is just a great platform. It's a versatile platform. You can modify it into anything, or you can just drive it how it is and have tons of fun. It can be raced, it can be launched, it can be an oval racer, it can be a monster truck, it can be a speed queen, whatever you want to do. The two-wheel drive Slash is it. It's that good. And you know, it's funny. Originally, I thought, oh, it wouldn't be a good racer, and I think this is a really good racer. This two-wheel drive Slash is probably my most fun 10 scale truck that I have. I just love this thing. And it's durable. I have not broken anything on it. This two-wheel drive Slash I built as a kit, and I do believe that's where something is missing with the ready to run revolution and what Traxxas has created. Even though this is a Traxxas, it came as a kit. I think not building your own car, something is missing. I built this car, and for some reason, it is probably my favorite 10 scale car that I have. And I don't know if it's because of the way it is or it's because I put my time and energy into making it what it is. I also think that people are missing out on painting a body. I would bet that half of the people in this hobby today, at least half, have never painted a body before. And painting a body and creating your own look is one of the things that's really fun and makes this hobby great, in my opinion. If you've never painted a body before, you're missing out. The 4x4 Slash is another great car that I think everybody should have. It is just a good platform. They are tough. Before I raced this one, it was a basher. And I skied this thing 30 feet in the air. I ran it on 3S. I mean, it was beat up. And other than the axles grenading, it really held together pretty good. And then now I put some tires on it. I lowered the ride height, and I've been racing it. And it's a pretty darn good racer. I think once I put an LCG chassis on it, it's going to be a lot better. But it's a great platform. So the 4x4, in my opinion, the 4x4 and the two-wheel drive Slash are two vehicles that everybody should have. And I think Traxxas hit a home run with these. And the RC world would be different without these. But like I said, it would also be different if things were still kits and they weren't ready to runs. I do believe there is something missing when you don't build it from a kit. I believe there's something missing when you don't paint a body and give it your personal touch. I think there is something missing. But whether or not that's detrimental, I mean, what do you think? Has Traxxas been a good thing or a bad thing for the RC world? Let me know in the comments what your opinion is. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.